evening and welcome to Walk the Talk. Quick question. First timers in the house, stand up. Stand up. First timers, woo! Welcome. Yes. Okay. That was really surprising. Okay, where's the tribe at? Stand up. If you're Walk the Talk, bam, I see you, Carmen, bam. Hello there. Come on, don't be shy, tribe. Stand up. Good deal. Good deal. Thank you all. This is the third year of Walk the Talk. We've got about 16 to 18 shows in, over 120 speakers, and over 1.2 million minutes of YouTube video watching, all right? So this is, give it up. So this is an awesome platform, and I encourage you, especially if you're a first-timer, you've got that message in you and you know you want to get it out, absolutely come join the tribe and be a part of this epic shift that we're here to create, okay? Tonight, we have curated an awesome, spectacular show for you. Who's got some things they need to let go? Amen. It's not just me then. Good. We're together in this. We have got 6 phenomenal speakers that are going to talk to you about 6 different aspects of letting go, okay? So you ready? Yes. Seatbelts on tight? Okay. You ready? First to the stage tonight, I really want you to send her a lot of love and energy. She is expanding in many, many ways as a speaker and as a business owner. She is a professional organizer, and tonight she's going to share her story of letting go of things. Please give me some love, some energy, a warm welcome for Cindy Garloch!
I am so honored to be here as your first speaker to show you how we all let go. Do you believe your life is better with more? Or do you believe your life is better with less? I believe life is better with both. And tonight I'm going to share my story to show how that is true. As a society, we believe that life is better with more. More. And I believed it too, until one day, a trip to the consignment store changed my mind. First, I want to take you back to when I was a teenager, and the place to go was the mall. Everybody loves the mall, right? I loved meeting up with friends, eating at the food court, and avoiding my homework at all costs. But my main mission for going to the mall was the thrill of the hunt to find the perfect shirt, shoes, and shorts. You see, I thought if I found the perfect clothes and shoes that I would fit in, and I would be happier and more confident. But that's not how it worked. And so I shopped. This relentless pursuit continued into adulthood, but it became more than just about the clothes. It was the pantry stocked for a family of 6, when it was just my husband and me. It was this will be the perfect gift for my niece's 16th birthday. She was 3 at the time. It was the 7 different kitchen appliances that all served only one purpose each. The rice cooker, the yogurt maker, the warmer, the server, I could go on, right? The slow cooker and the pressure cooker, and whatever you use to saute. To this day and every day, I am thankful for the Instapot. Do you know why? Because it does 7 different processes, but only takes up this much space, right? Yay! As I continued through the years, I figured out that I was drowning in my stuff. You see, I was struggling with my clothes, struggling. I've spent way too much time in my closet figuring out what to wear. I spent way too much money buying stuff I would never wear. And you know, all this wasted money and time, it made me anxious, stressed out, and really, really unhappy. It was the exact opposite of what I had been seeking. This vicious cycle continued as I continued to fill my voids of self-doubt, self-worth, and confidence. Fast forward to 4 years ago, when I was shopping at my favorite consignment store. I was trying on item after item, and I could justify all of them. I could use another pair of black pants, or this shirt is only $4. Score! Clothes I needed because I had nothing to wear. Maybe some of you can relate. Yeah. This particular day, I had found a huge stack of clothes to buy. So I picked them up, and as I was headed to the register, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. Something felt different. So I put the clothes down, and I looked closer. I caught another glimpse. Wow, I look great in this dress. I'm rocking this orange color, and I look better in this than anything I'm about to buy. I looked again, and I noticed I was standing a little taller. And then it got real. What are you doing? Your closet is already overflowing. And this negative self-talk you've been telling yourself for the last 30 years, it's not serving you. Not only that, it's not true. Tears welled up in my eyes, and for the first time in such a long time, I thought, I'm worthy. I'm good enough. And I'm perfect the way I am. I didn't know where these feelings were coming from. All I knew was that a weight was being lifted, and it felt good. As I got home, I went straight to my closet because I was going to let go of anything that didn't make me feel beautiful, confident, and happy. That's right, now was the time. But where do I start? I've been so overwhelmed for so long. So I did what any overwhelmed person in this situation would do. I went to the kitchen and I poured myself a cold drink. I checked my email. I checked my social media, and I watered my plants. That's what I did. After I procrastinated for most of the afternoon, anybody relate to that? I went back to my closet to ask myself the hard questions. Why do you have all this stuff? The abundance of food, all these clothes, shoes, purses, all the gifts in the gift closet. You have a gift closet. And it wasn't small. It wasn't small. And all of a sudden, I realized that I was overwhelmed again, but it was time to start to let go. The lifetime of burden of feeling unworthy and full of self-doubt, it was weighing on me. It was exhausting me, making me tired and weak. I knew I needed some relief, so I collapsed on the floor. I got my relief, right? As I laid on the floor for quite some time, I realized that the answer had been there all along. I shopped because I wanted to fit in. and to have the perfect outfit and to be accepted. Doesn't everybody want to be accepted? I bought so much food just in case somebody would happen to stop by. I could feed them. Because alone, I felt I wasn't enough. And all those gifts in that gift closet, they were all to prove to my friends and family that I was worthy of their time, their love, and their attention. I realized the answer was right there all along. I just couldn't see it because of my stuff. Because of my stuff. As I picked myself up off the floor, I knew I had to let go of my clothes, most of them. I had to let go of those feelings of self-doubt and unworthiness. But where to start? Are you seeing the trend here? Yeah. But this time I came up with a solution. 15 minutes. I can do anything for 15 minutes, right? Right. And I'm going to start with my black pants because I have a feeling that some of them can go. So I took out some of my black pants and put them on the bed. It formed a small mountain. I found some more black pants, put them on the bed. It formed a larger mountain. Surely I'm out of black pants. I put those on the bed. Oh my God. Somebody had to do it. I've just got to let it go, right? I realized at that moment that I could start a black pants store. All on my own. But I was feeling so much better. So I continued with my shirts, my shorts, my shoes, my purses, until I had a clean slate, if you will. Mel Robbins, author and motivational speaker, once said, "Your doubts create mountains, and your actions move them." There it was, my piles of self-doubt and unworthiness lying on my bed from the last 30 years. Right then, I knew that I had to let go. I had to let go of my clothes, and I had to let go of those feelings. So I began to purge with reckless abandon, getting rid of those clothes, keeping the ones I loved, of course, but getting rid of all the ones that I hadn't worn for years, if ever, and letting go of the ones that had tags. Tags. Surely they didn't bring me any joy, right? Letting go was and I started with 15 minutes, and another 15 minutes, and another 15 minutes. Letting go was intoxicating, right? Now, that cold drink I had poured myself earlier may have had a little bit to do with it, just a little bit. But I was feeling much better in a short period of time. That glimpse in the mirror in 15 minutes is where it all began. I moved my mountains of stuff, and I moved my mountains of feelings not serving me. I learned that day that life is not about the stuff. It was never about the stuff. Now, you may be wondering if I still shop. I know there's some naysayers out there that think I still shop, and I shop way too much. But that's not the case. Everything I bring home has earned a coveted spot in my closet, my small stash of gifts, my appropriately sized pantry, and my life. I believe that my life is better with less. By owning less, I've gained so much more. More time, more money, more calm in my daily living, more joy, more happiness, more confidence, and more freedom to live a life I love. I didn't know my life would change that much in that 15 minutes, but it did. What's your mountain? What's your mountain? My mountain was my clothes and my feelings not serving me. That day, I conquered my mountain, but not only that, you know what? I conquered myself. 15 minutes, just 15 minutes. I ask you, what mountain will you move with your 15 minutes? Nice.
Great job. So you can go ahead back. You were a little over time.
Okay, sounds good.
You know what's amazing about that is that, like I said, she's growing, she's expanding. She is going to be a speaker. She's got a powerful message, and she got up here and didn't want to let it go. Yes! I love it. Good job, Cindy. Good job. Okay, we're going to keep it rolling for you. And this next woman we have coming to the stage, what can I tell you about her? She is here by way of California, and she's going to talk to you about what it feels like in between, right before you let go. Please welcome to the stage, Sheila Spencer.
Okay, getting ready to do something on my bucket list. And when I was done, I would be able to put a check next to skydiving. So I purposely didn't tell friends that I was going to do this because, one, it's something they didn't expect. Two, they would talk me out of it. And three, they would think that I was crazy. I'm going to get back to that later. So we're at the airfield, finished orientation, where I actually learned that most of the staff that works there has skydived. So I asked a woman, as we were preparing, I talked to a woman, I asked her a question, serious question. And I asked, what's the scariest thing about jumping out of a plane? I really asked that. And my friend said, you know your question answered your question, Sheila. What's the scariest thing about jumping out of a plane? Jumping out of a plane. But as I went back to the woman, her answer made me pause. She said, I don't know if I'd call it scary, but pay attention to what happens to you the moment before you let go. The moment before you let go. Get in the plane with my instructor, 5,000 feet in the air, 10,000 feet in the air, 15,000 feet in the air, 15,000 plus feet in the air. My instructor strapped behind me, and I'm just about to make the leap. But right before my instructor says, Sheila, you need to be still for a few seconds. Let me create a visual for you. Half of me is seated in the known comfortable confines of the plane, and the other half of me literally is out in the limitless, endless, unknown sky. I'm literally between the comfort of the plane and the rest of me is literally just hanging out there in the air. It was just a few seconds, but it felt like forever. And what my body was saying is, this is an unnatural position. I was not created to be caught between comfort and letting go. And literally my body was screaming, you either get back on that plane or you jump out of it. But either way, you need to make a decision. I was not created to be paralyzed between these two places. At that moment, my instructor says, are you ready? And me, completely terrified out of my mind, said, let's do this. leaped out of the plane. And at first I was still holding on like this. And I could gently hear him say, Sheila, completely surrender so you can enjoy this experience. And once I completely surrendered, it was amazing. I felt that I was soaring through the air, and the whole time I'm going, this is so cool. I'm up in the air, and I'm seeing things from a perspective that I never realized, that I never imagined. I landed on the ground, and I could have stayed in the comfortable confines of the plane and arrived at the same destination, but I would have missed that journey. But what it made me think of is, how many times have I lived my life in that unnatural position of being paralyzed between comfort and letting go? Paralyzed between comfort, safe, and letting go into the unknown. And it made me think of something. So I want to share with you 3 lessons I learned about letting go from leaping out of a plane. First, letting go takes courage, but it doesn't mean you don't do it afraid. One of the misconceptions we have is that if I let go of something, I surrender, get a new job, a new place, a new attitude, that I'm going to do it cold, calm, and collected. I got this. No. Someone told me if a dream doesn't scare you a little bit, it's not big enough. Courage doesn't mean you don't do it with fear. Courage means you do it in spite of the fear. So letting go takes courage, but it doesn't mean you don't do it afraid. And it takes courage because it takes courage to let go of the familiar and embrace the new. Lesson number 2. Letting go releases you from expectations. We all have that list. Going to get a job by this age, you're going to have this by this age, you're going to have a house by this age, you're going to be married by this age, you're going to have a family by this age, you're going to retire by this age, you're going to do this by this age, you're going to travel by this age. But what happens when you reach that age or that stage and you still haven't made it yet? And sometimes I think that we're confined by those preset expectations that we remain paralyzed in them. But letting go releases you when you surrender expectations, you surrender what you expect to open up to the life that's waiting for you. And one of the quotes that kept coming to me over and over and over was by Joseph Campbell that said, we must be willing to let go of the life we planned so as to have the life that's waiting for us. Sometimes the life we've scheduled isn't the life that life has planned. And I guarantee you what life is planned most of the times is a surprise that you didn't expect. Lesson number 3. Letting go invites new possibilities. Just as when I literally leaped from that plane, I saw the world literally from a perspective that I never imagined was possible. Letting go invites new possibilities. Letting go invites new possibilities. When you let go, you open up yourself to new possibilities, meeting new people, doing new things, finding new perspectives. Letting go opens up the gateway to that. 10 years ago, I was in Los Angeles, California, writing, teaching, coaching. Life was good. I got an opportunity for a job opportunity. And it would be working with women, doing some writing. I would be traveling all over the world and doing some things, but it was based in Indianapolis. Now, I don't know if you know, but you all have a season that comes between fall and spring. Your girl doesn't do cold well. And I remember not telling people about the job opportunity because, one, it's what they didn't expect. They would think I was crazy, and they would try to talk me out of it. But I literally remember when the woman called, she said, take a weekend to think about it. And when she called me back to ask what my decision was, this was literally my answer. I'm completely terrified. I don't know what to expect, and I don't know what the possibilities are. But with all of that, in the midst of that craziness, I'm going to let go and surrender my expectations and surrender my perfectionism, need to know everything, I'm going to accept it. And you know what was on the other side of that let go? On the other side of that let go, on the other side of that comfort zone, if I hadn't let go, I wouldn't have traveled and met my sister Amanda from Colombia. I wouldn't have met my sister Rosette in the microcredit union from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I wouldn't have met friends that have loved me and adopted me and kept me, friends that are in this very place. If I wouldn't have let go, I wouldn't be standing on this stage. If I hadn't let go, this preacher's daughter from California wouldn't have let go, left her comfort zone, discovered, fully walked to and accepted her own call to ministry that won't look like my father's, that won't look like anybody expects of us. It's going to be me, beyond the walls, authentically me. There's something on the other side. But what I want you to know, there's something on the other side of your let go. There's something on the other side of your comfort zone. There's something on the other side of your fear, because there are people that are waiting for you. One of the things that someone told me before I left LA, a mentor told me, he said, Sheila, there are people that are waiting for you, but you won't know until you go. When you say yes, you're opening up the yes to so many other possibilities. So I'm telling all of you, there are people that are waiting on the other side of your let go for that book, for that project, for that house, for all those dreams. There are people waiting on the other side of that let go. And one of the quotes that kept me, this is one of my favorites from Anais Nin. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud became more painful than the risk that it took to blossom. The danger about comfort is it keeps you comfortable. But oh, to be uncomfortable. Oh, to be in the midst of chaos is a beautiful thing, because it's the breakthrough. It's the breakthrough right before you leap. Now, proof that I did it, not photoshopped. But I want you to know this. I want you to know that my instructor was strapped to me the entire time. He said that we may have turbulence and you may not hear me, but you need to know that I'm there with you. You may not be able to see me, but you need to know that I'm there with you. To me, that represents my faith, but to me, it also represents there are people that are here to encourage us. When you want to let go, when you want to do the project that crazy friend that says, yeah, let's do this, you can do it. They encourage you. They teach you the importance of encouragement. And those that discourage you, that tell you, no, that's not what I expect, think you're a little crazy, no, try to talk you out of it, they're part of your tribe too. You know what? Because they teach you resistance, and they teach you that letting go means you have to have the courage to push back against the opinions of others, even if they're the ones that you love the most. But I say this because I know that in my life right now, I'm in the midst of another transition. I know that I'm going to have to get back on a plane, 15,000 plus feet in the air, and I'm going to have to let go and leap and start all over again. But I'm grateful for this opportunity. But this is not the last image I want to leave with you. It's this. When you let go, I want this to represent the people that are waiting for you on the other side of your let go. I want you to know the people that are waiting for you on the other side of your surrender. Whatever your dream is, that project, that book, that conversation, these are the people that are waiting for you on the other side of your let go. And I guarantee you, once you let go, once you fully surrender, it is amazing. And so are you. Let go.
Receive all of that love. Do you feel it?
I feel it.
Oh, that was amazing. Okay. Is that your people?
That's my people.
That's your crew right there? Hey, ladies. So, Sheila.
Yes.
What's the one thing you miss about California the most?
Oh.
Said the weather. I heard the weather.
Weather's nice.
That's an obvious one, though.
Okay, family, but my family's actually coming here this weekend, so I'm cool. But I'm a foodie. I'm a foodie.
Okay.
Don't laugh, don't judge me. Pollo
Safe
Loco,
zone.
In-N-Out Burger. There's a King Taco that I love. There's my favorite Thai place. Is yes, food is my love language.
Okay. Okay. Well, I hope you get some of that again soon. And thank you for that wonderful, wonderful talk tonight, honey. Come on, bring it in. Okay. Everybody, Sheila Spencer. Now then, we've let go of some things, some stuff that was weighing us down. We've let go and we've jumped out of planes. Now let's take the conversation in a little bit direction, a different direction. And let's talk about when we have to let go of things a little more near and dear to us. So, our next speaker tonight has a very, very powerful and touching story for you about letting go. So please keep that warmth and energy going for her and welcome Mrs. Denola Burto.
So this may not be your typical letting go story. In fact, it's not even my letting go story, but I am involved. You see, I became a mother for the first time when I was 42 years old. Okay. Now, before you go giving me the pats on the backs and the atta girls, I did not birth either of my children. So this is a letting go story about adoption. My husband and I got married when I was 35 years old. First time for both of us, neither of us had children, but we needed to have that conversation pretty early about whether we were going to have kids, because even at 35, this body might not have been prepared for that. So we decided that, we would focus on our careers. Dinks. Dual income, no kids. We were satisfied with that. So we lived our life until a little boy came into our lives, my nephew. My youngest brother and his girlfriend at the time had a baby. And if you really knew me, you would know that I am a natural nurturer. And we began to nurture that little boy. But that was not enough. So call it the 7-year itch or whatever you want to, but in our 7th year of marriage, we had another conversation. And we decided that we wanted to be parents. Okay, 42, remember? I'm not birthing a baby. So we began to have that conversation about how. And we started talking to an adoption agency. The adoption agency has a process that they call birth mother matches. And we would provide a portfolio of our lives, and the birth mother would provide information about herself that she wanted to share with us, and we would determine if it was a match. I don't know if it was the times or what, but this was back in 2000. And back in 2000, there were not very many African American 2-parent families that were ready to adopt. And so we were matched with a birth mother pretty quickly. All we had to do was wait. So we did. We prepared the nursery, we bought the clothes, we got ready. And we waited for the call for the baby to be born. And back then, the birth mother had to have at least 24 hours after the baby was born, before they could sign adoption papers. So we would wait for the day the baby was born, and we would finally got the call. This first birth mother was in Atlanta. We were excited. We were even going to get to fly to Atlanta to pick up the baby. So the baby was born. We were excited. We were ready to get the tickets. And so the next day, when the 24 hours was up, we were waiting for the call. And the call came, and we were informed she couldn't let go. Yes, it was devastating, but God did not want me to have that child. That was not my child. That was her child. So we started all over again. We had another birth mother match very quickly. This time the birth mother was in Las Vegas. Oh, okay, we can go to Las Vegas too. We waited on the call, and the call came. But she couldn't let go. Okay, now we're on this roller coaster of emotions. And we said, we can still do this though. We began to work with the agency again, and again, very quickly, we were matched with another birth mother. This time in Texas. We can fly to Texas. Planes go there too. But she couldn't let go. So 3 times we're beginning to question, is this the right process for us? 3 days later, we received a call from the agency in Texas that had just been devastated for us. They had a young lady walk into the hospital the night before. She had a baby girl. She had already decided that she wanted to do an adoption. And if we could fly to Texas, the baby was ours. So we did. We flew to Texas. We arrived late at night, and the first thing we saw when we pulled up to the adoption agency was a lady standing there waiting on us with the most beautiful little baby girl in her arms. And we felt instantly in love because this birth mother could let go. So our lives began as parents, but it didn't end there. 4 years later, we decided to do this process again. We said our daughter needs a sibling. So we started the process all over again. And this time, when we prepared our portfolio was picked up by a birth mother very, very quickly, and she wanted to meet with us. And so we did. She told us her story. She says, I'm 24 years old, and I have 4 children. She said, all 4 of my children are by the same man. Both of us, though, do not have a high school diploma. Neither of us has a GED. We have struggled through life. We've been homeless. We've been hungry. We're currently on welfare. We know we can't bring another child into this family. In fact, we knew it so much so that after I had my 4th child, I had my tubes tied. So you can imagine the surprise when I thought I had the flu and the doctor confirmed for me that I was 6 months pregnant. In fact, when we met her, she didn't look pregnant. She hid her pregnancy from not only her friends, but she hid that pregnancy from her family because she knew she was going to give this child up for adoption. So we did match with her, and we began the wait because we're at 6 months. We have more time to wait. We didn't want to get our hopes up too much because we did not know what to expect because we'd had 3 that couldn't let go. On the day of the delivery, we received the call. We could come to the hospital because she wanted us there. We went to the hospital. She actually lived in Indiana. We went to the hospital. And we were greeted with the birth mother who had already delivered her baby. And she was in the room with the child. Now, when you are a birth mother and you are giving your child up for adoption, they have a designation for them. They're called BUFA, baby up for adoption. And they generally don't bring them to the room of the birth mother because they don't want them to bond. And so when I arrived and see her with the baby, I'm concerned. We met this baby. We fell in love instantly with this child the same way we did for the first one. But at the end of the evening, we were asked to leave because the 24 hours has not passed. It was time for me to let go. I could not get attached until I knew. We arrived back at the hospital the next morning, and the birth mother was getting dressed to leave, and the baby's there in the room with her. We don't know if she's getting ready to take this child with her or not. But she motions for us to come into the room, and these are the words she said to me. She hands me this baby and she says, "This child will never be hungry. This child will never be homeless. This child will never be on welfare. So I give this child to you out of love." What a letting go story. When I think about letting go, I think about this birth mother and all other birth mothers who have to let go for love. So this is a letting go story of love. Thank you.
So, now that you done brought the tears to my eyes, and probably some of yours too, what we really want to know is, now that they're college and high school age, how you feeling?
Some days I want to give them back.
Amen. There we go.
you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Denola. Y'all give it up for me. Phenomenal, phenomenal. Just when you think you would not be strong enough, the strength sometimes that we display. So, how you feeling? Feeling good? Getting something out of this? Okay. One thing that Steve does not know about me, and he did not know when he handed me this mic, is that I want to be a rapper. No, I'm kidding, but I am going to try something. No way, I'm an accountant. Okay. I don't think I introduced myself. I'm Stephanie Bowie, and I've spoken a couple times with the tribe, and then Steve said, "Hey, would you do this thing?" And I'm like, "Do you really know what you're asking?" So I just want to try something really quickly before we bring out our next speaker, because I want to make sure the energy is really, really high for her, okay? So we're going to try this, okay? So just go back like this. All right. Okay, here we go. When I say walk the, you say talk. Walk the, talk. walk the. Hey, when I say epic, you say shift. Epic, epic. Now when I say let it, you say go. Let it, let it. Okay, good dog. We did good. We did good. We did good. Okay, we want to keep the energy high for our next speaker tonight. She's got a phenomenal story. I'm just going to tell you something, 2 words, Sedona Method. We'll talk about it a little bit later, okay? But I want to bring her out here tonight to talk to you about her amazing story and part of her journey, okay? So please put your hands together for Catherine Clift.
Well, thank you. You're about to hear an amazing story. It's how letting go not only changed my life, but totally transformed it. It all began in 2005 when I discovered a very simple yet a very profound technique called the release technique / the Sedona Method that allowed you to release any unwanted feeling in the moment. And the more I let go, the more miracles and abundance started flowing into my life. Just to give you some examples, I was given a horse right out of the blue, free of charge. Yeah. Amazing, isn't it? I was able to let go of the flu in 15 minutes. And this past year, by letting go, I was able to beat the IRS. Now, these may seem like amazing things, but it almost didn't happen. And I need to back up a few years because at that time, I was receiving all these personal growth programs from Nightingale Conant through the mail. And one of those programs was A Course in Miracles. Now, the more I delved into the Course in Miracles, I was absolutely convinced that this was my key to happiness in this life, and I didn't need to look any farther. So in January of 2005, when the church that I was attending at the time offered a 2-part program called the Abundance Course, I almost didn't go. And my mind was absolutely determined that I wasn't going to go by telling me, oh, that's materialistic. You're spiritual. You don't want to go to that. And of course, I listened to that wonderful, logical mind of mine, and I didn't go. But the universe was on my side because as fate would have it, there was a snowstorm at that time, and the program was delayed a couple of weeks. Well, I still missed the first part, but my curiosity was piqued, so I thought I'd go to the second part. And when I realized exactly what it was and how it could affect my life, I was kicking myself for missing the first part. As I said, miracles and abundance just started immediately flowing into my life. But I wanted to just share with you just a few examples. And the first one has to do with finding a lost engagement ring. Now, this was during tax season when my then CPA husband was coming home late at night with bags under his eyes. And I was doing dishes that night, and I always take off my engagement ring because I don't want to get gunked up with food. Well, apparently my knuckle was swollen, and I was having a difficult time getting it off. Well, when I finally got it off, it just flew out of my hands and just hit the floor. Well, I didn't think anything about it because we had a very small galley kitchen, and I thought, oh, big deal, I'll just find it after I finish the dishes. So I finished the dishes, and I looked on the floor. I could not find a ring. Well, I said to myself, well, you didn't look hard enough. So I got down on my hands and knees, and I scoured the floor. Still no ring. Well, now I'm starting to get a little anxious, but then I just remembered the biblical story of the widow that found the lost coin by getting out a broom and sweeping the floor. So I got, right. So I got out my handy-dandy little broom and I swept the floor. No ring. Well, now that anxiety is turning to sheer panic. I can just see my husband walking through that door at 11 o'clock that night, and I'm going to tell him I lost the engagement ring. Well, he's going to hit the ceiling, and it's something I do not want to deal with. My mind is in turmoil. It's just spinning. I don't know what I'm going to do. But finally, just in time, this little voice of wisdom broke through and said, "You can let go. You can release." And that is exactly what I did. I started letting go of wanting to control the entire situation. And an amazing thing happened. I got very calm. My mind got very clear. I could almost see the trajectory of the ring in my mind's eye, and I followed it all the way to the edge of the linoleum where it curls up right by the cabinets. And I stuck my hand behind where it's really cruddy and dirty, and I felt something, and I gave it a flip, and it was the ring. And I swear to you, if I had not let go in that moment, that ring would never have been found. It would have stayed with the house. I probably never would have told my husband either. The other two examples that I want to share with you have to do with my marriage of 23 years, which was emotionally abusive, and my job of 25 and a half years. It became so stressful that I developed shingles in the last month that I was there. Now, these were my two security blankets. I couldn't imagine letting go of them. I needed both of them to survive, or so I believed. So I held on. But the more I held on, the unhappier I became and the more miserable I felt. Until I finally convinced myself that my happiness was much more important than any relationship. So I took the leap of faith and I walked out. Not only did I survive, but I found out I had enough money to live on for the rest of my life. Surprise! And by letting go of my job, I discovered my dream career, life coaching, where I can help and inspire others to be the best you they can possibly be and to live their dream life. But what I want to share with you now is something that I'm using letting go to help me accept something that I'm having a hard time accepting a part of myself. And that has to do with a medical condition that I was diagnosed with when I was 35 called alopecia areata. Alopecia areata? For those of you who may not know, it's an autoimmune disease that for some unknown reason it attacks the white blood cells and causes the hair follicle, and it causes the hair follicle to fall out. It starts out very slowly with little bald patches. They sort of spread. The hair falls out, it comes back in, it falls out again. It goes through cycles. But by the time I was 50, I was completely bald. Now, for someone who has struggled most of their life to fit in and feel normal, this was a cruel blow. I looked like somebody who had just walked out of a concentration camp. I looked and I felt like a victim, and God help anybody who thought I was on chemo. I hated the way I looked. I felt like a freak. I needed support and acceptance, so I turned to the one person that I thought would surely accept me no matter what, my own mother. Did she accept me? She took one look at me and said, "Oh, for God's sake, Catherine, get a wig." Here I am trying to accept myself, and my own mother can't accept me? This was really hard. This was very, very painful. But so I got some wigs, and I hated them because they didn't look right, they didn't fit right, they were hot, they were scratchy, and they fell off at the wrong time. Yeah. I wanted to accept me as me, but I didn't know how. But by letting go, I found a way. When I was attending the release technique retreats, we did an exercise called the mirror exercise, where you look in the mirror and you're supposed to love yourself and give yourself approval over and over again. Well, this was very challenging for me because every time I looked in the mirror, all I saw was this ungodly, ugly image looking back at me that I didn't even recognize as me. How could I love that? But by letting go, I continued to let go, and something amazing happened. I started to change. I became more courageous, more confident, more accepting of myself. And yes, little by little, now it didn't happen overnight, I started loving that image in the mirror. And I became even more courageous, so courageous that in January of this year, I made a bold decision that I wanted to appear in public without the wigs. And in March of this year, I attended the advanced retreat of the Sedona Method, where we went deeper than we had ever gone before in letting go. And it gave me the courage to stand up in front of the group, share my story and my struggles, take off my hat, and declare as boldly and courageously as I could, "Bald is beautiful!" And I received a standing ovation. Now, in conclusion, I just want you to know that letting go has taken me from a very insecure person with a victim mentality to someone who is very courageous, very confident, who knows who she is, where she's going, and I have a message for the world. So for anyone out there who may be on chemo, who can't stand the way they look, or is judging a part of their body, I just want to say, let go and love yourself and see what happens. As I take this opportunity to share with you one more time, bald is beautiful!
Bald is beautiful, Catherine.
Yes.
Awesome. Yes, one more time. That's for you, baby. That's for you. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so I have a question for you.
Yes.
And I don't know if my mic is on, but I'll use my military voice then. Okay, there we are. So my question is, I don't know if there's a quick example that you
Sure.
can give us. Could you walk us through something?
Yeah, I'll just give you a quick example of the Sedona Method. First of all, everyone has the power to let go. It's just a decision. Do you want to hold on or do you want to let go? And when you let go, you've got to let go from the neck down. You've got to get out of your head. Your head will only get in the way. So I want you to think of something that bothers you. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the strongest and 1 being the weakest, I want you to get in touch with a situation or a person that bothers you and just get in touch with those feelings. And as you get in touch with those feelings, just ask yourself this question: could you let it go? And then just imagine doing this inside. And that's all you need to do. It's very simple. The mind will say, oh, that's too simple. But I'll tell you, it's extremely powerful because that's why I am the way I am today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Catherine. Okay. I hope your seatbelts are still on because we're in the home stretch. And these last 2 individuals coming out here to talk to you tonight, they have something for you to put in your hat and take with you. So I want to bring to the stage next, I feel like he's a gentle giant. He's a big guy. He's a powerful guy. He's got a powerful freaking story about letting go. So I'm just, without further ado, please give him a warm welcome right now, Mr. James Officer.
Thank you, love. The deadline for regret was yesterday. I'm going to say that for my friends over here. The deadline for regret was yesterday. So you all have been giving so much energy to the stage today. I want you to exchange some energy between you. So pick somebody, look them in the face, and say, the deadline for regret was yesterday. Okay. It's feeling like church, I know. Feeling like church. So pick somebody else. I feel it. I can't even get y'all quiet now. Pick somebody else. And look them in the face and say, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Now, one more thing. Look at me and say, do your thing, James. You got it. So, 45 days ago or so, I was preparing for my audition for Walk the Talk. And just like I've done dozens, if not hundreds of times in my life in preparing for a big game, I wanted to check the film out. So I went to YouTube and I looked up all things Walk the Talk. And I happened to come across the show from last month, the Enlightenment Show. And so at the very beginning of the show, there's a video that's played from the Walk the Talk Junior. And it's children from Rosa Parks Elementary School here in Indianapolis. And the children are asked two questions. What inspires you and what makes you happy? And the children's answers were like this. What inspires me is when my little brother ties his shoes. Right? What inspires me is when my parents teach people in the neighborhood how to speak English. What inspires me is when my friend in class does good on board work in the morning. Well, what makes you happy? What makes me happy is when other people are happy. What makes me happy is when my friends say hi and hug me. I'm watching the video and I got super emotional. Not just because the kids were so cute, but I got emotional because literally tears in my eyes. James, what happened to you? What happened to you? Now, one of those children said, what inspires me is when my parents pull up in the Benz to pick me up from school. Not one of them. What inspires me is to have the biggest house in the neighborhood. Not one of the children said that. Now, one of them said, what makes me happy is when the Republicans win. Or what makes me happy is when the Democrats win. Or what makes me happy is Macy's Friends and Family Sale. Like, none of that. None of it. What happened? Like, what happened? And it made me emotional. I got really, really sad, and I started thinking about it. And I'm just going to talk to you. Here's what came to my mind. James, you've told a lot of lies in your life. A lot of people have lied to you, James. You've hurt people. People have hurt you. You've broken promises, and people have broken promises to you. And all of this stuff is going through my head, and I'm saying, wow, that can only result in resentment and bitterness, anger, fear, shame, envy. And all of these feelings and emotions, they get tied up, a nice little bow on a package called regret. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday was the deadline for regret. Let it go. Regret is like watching a movie that you didn't like the first time over and over again, hoping that movie will eventually get better. Regret is like eating a meal that was nasty the first time you ate it, but you keep asking for more and more and more, hoping that it tastes better. Not only will it not taste any better, it will eventually make you sick. Regret will make you sick. Not only will it make you sick, because those feelings I talked about, shame, envy, anger, fear, all of those things release a chemical in our body, a hormone called cortisol. And cortisol attacks our immune system. It attacks our organs, and it causes our bodies to work at less than optimal function. Ladies and gentlemen, regret will kill you. Let it go. 2019 is a pretty big year for my family. This year, my youngest son, the youngest of four, who's my plus one tonight, my boy here with me, it's cool. He's graduated from high school last month. And yeah, it's awesome. Awesome, right? And August 1st, I think it's the 1st, he'll go off to campus, and his 3 siblings before him have already done that, and he's the last one to leave the house, which makes us empty nesters. Well, that is both exhilarating and terrifying, right? Because for 27 years, I've had children in my home. Now what, right? So terrifying. And then add to that, this year, I'll turn 50 years old. I know. And so, and listen, while age is only a number, I've had 18,250 days to make a lot of mistakes. And that all causes reflection, right? The empty nest, and all my babies are gone, and my wife and I have had this long relationship that now it's just her and I, and I'm half of 100, and just you start to reflect. And so just a couple of weeks ago, right after my son's open house, we were sitting in the family room and going through stuff. And I mean, we had birthday cards from my 27-year-old's first birthday. Really, the first pictures that she painted. It's just stuff. And we're going through it, and we're looking at stuff, and the conversation goes like this. Man, if we had did this, and what if that, and what if we did that, and what if this, and what if that? And I'm already dealing with this regret thing in my head, and I got to let it go. I need to get rid of it. So I say to my wife, I said, baby, go back in your head when you were 25 years old. By 25, 3 of our children were born. And I asked her, what kind of parent did you think you were? She was like, I was a great mom. Fantastic. I said, I thought I was the bomb dad. I thought there was no daddy better than me. So for us to sit here now, 20 years later, 20 plus years later, and to look back at those young people and to charge them and to rebuke them is like convicting innocent people. Regret will kill you. Let it go. 2006, Adam Sandler was in a movie called Click. It's supposed to be a comedy, but it's a pretty heavy movie. In this movie, he finds in his possession a remote control. And this remote control allows him to fast forward, rewind, pause, turn up the volume, turn down the volume in life. So, for example, his children would come in and they'd be rambunctious from school. He's tired, and he would just fast forward past that. And they're in the bed. His wife would start talking to him about something, and he would just turn the volume down. The problem with that is that this remote control took on a mind of its own. And every time Adam Sandler's character became anxious, the remote would fly ahead by itself. At one point, he was having an intimate moment with his wife, and it was about 3 seconds, and he was laying back like the world, just turned. We'll attribute that to the remote control, right? That'll catch you on the way home. What happened as he fast-forwarded past all of the painful things in his life, he also missed the pleasure. His children grew up, and he missed it. His dad passed away, and he missed it. Here's the beautiful story of the human experience, that you cannot have the pleasure without the pain. You simply can't. The experiences that we just want to hold on to, I wish it hadn't happened. I wish it hadn't happened. Ladies and gentlemen, is the highest form of ego. Okay, I'm not trying to make you mad. I'm just trying to talk. Listen, we assume ego is an inflated sense of value. Ego is also an inflated sense of pity. Here's how it sounds. That shouldn't have happened to me. Why me? Why me? Who would you suggest that it happened to? Really? I have never heard anyone in my life say, why am I so blessed? Why do I get to pay my bills on time? Why me? Why am I healthy? I've never heard anyone ask that. So it is ego to say, why me, when the bad things happen. Here's another way ego sounds. I'm smarter than that. Man, why'd I do that? Got news for you. When you did that, said that, that's exactly who you were. Today is the... Yesterday is the deadline for regret. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. That relationship that broke you, let it go. That boss that mistreated you, let it go. That employee you mistreated, let it go. That person you prejudged, let it go. That opportunity you blew, let it go. Regret will derail you. Regret will define you. Regret will describe you, and ultimately, regret will drag you. In the words of Wayne Dyer, you have two choices. You can either be a host to God or a hostage to your ego. Let it go.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, for those of you who did not see it, Walk the Talk shoots a little promotional video beforehand. And on this particular one, we ask a certain someone to jump into a river at the end. Let it go. If you haven't seen it, you have to go watch it. So here's what I want to know. Tell me how that was jumping off the side of where you guys, was it the White River?
Yeah.
Tell me about that plunge a little bit.
It was probably the most scared I've ever been in my life. I'm a pretty good swimmer, but I didn't know what was there. Mm-hmm. And about 3 minutes before it was time for me to jump, we saw a snake. And everybody with clothes on and that weren't going to be jumping in the river told me it's no big deal.
But you did it.
Yes, ma'am.
You did it. Well, thank you for your message tonight.
Thank
phenomenal,
you,
phenomenal.
Right.
Thank you, James. I was just like, I hope it wasn't shallow. I hope there was enough room for him to jump in. So here we are. We've talked a lot about some feeling type of things. We've let go of some stuff. We let go of people. We let go of thoughts. We've let go of emotions. But there's actually brain science that shows us how. What's the how of the letting go? What's the brain mechanism that's happening as we're doing this difficult thing, right? So I know I have some mathematical science type people in the house. This is not all just a lovey-dovey feely crew. Okay, so I got the fix for you. Our last speaker tonight, just he's gonna blow you away with some of this brain science. He's deep into this. He's helped people overcome weight issues as a personal trainer, but now he helps people set thought goals for their thinking and other amazing things. So I just want to bring him out here, Jon Laster.
Picture yourself as a gazelle in the African plains. You're just hanging out, doing what gazelles do, all right? And then all of a sudden, you hear this commanding roar from a huge male lion off in the distance. What do? You take off that way as fast as you can, right? After all, you're a gazelle, you're fast, you've got a head start, you can't see it yet. So you're going to get out of here and you're going to live another day. The only problem is what's waiting for you that way. See, it's interesting how lions hunt. The lions will position you right here in between the roar and the pride. They set a trap for you. And so even though you think you're doing the right thing, you're in trouble. You can see the pride setting up a wall, and then hear the gazelle, and that roar is going to come from out here. And so when you hear the roar, it's obvious what you do, right? You take off running. It feels safe. It feels automatic. It feels natural. But it's the absolute wrong thing to do. Imagine that. Guess what? We all act like gazelle every day. Isn't that good news? So here's the problem. We have a part of our brain that is very much like a gazelle brain. It's called the limbic system. It's your emotional brain. And its job is to keep you safe. Its job is to really interpret the situation around you. Now, it's very powerful, and it gets first dibs on how you feel about any given situation. And so that's what's actually going on. So the gazelle only has one option when it hears the roar, to turn and go, unfortunately. What do you do when you hear a roar in your life? Now, you actually can react without even thinking about it. Is that a little scary? The reaction is to run away from the roar, as you've seen. But if you would slow down and respond, you would realize, well, there's actually only one lion that way, and there's miles to get around him, right? So I'm going to take my chances this direction instead of the 15 that are staring at me in the bushes that direction. All right? So that's what would happen. Now, why does this happen? Why do you react? Why do you react automatically, and why do we oftentimes find ourselves regretting our decisions? It's a misinterpretation of your subconscious mind that's trying to protect you. It's either going to read a threat or it's going to read a reward. And that's its primary mission. So, when it reads a reward, happy chemicals. Look how happy those chemicals are. Right? And so when it sees a reward, okay, then now we have happy chemicals, and now you're the best version of yourself. You're bonding, you're making relationships, your discipline's better, you're focused, you know, your memory is better. But if your subconscious mind reads a threat or interprets a threat, then stress chemicals. And you literally lose your mind. Literally. It pulls the resources from your thinking brain, and so your memory goes, again, your emotional control goes, everything goes out the window when you have your fight or flight. So Tom Bilyeu says this, he says, the game you're playing is not actually success, it's not status, it's not even possession. The game is brain chemistry. What are you actually releasing in the situation? Well, what if we could control that? Let's think about some things in the moment. Let's think about some of these examples. Whenever you get feedback or constructive criticism at work, okay, imagine your boss walks up and says, hey, I've been watching you. I'd like to give you a little feedback. Is that all right? You guys love that? Even in that moment, you felt a little cortisol just happen, right? Everybody said, is he talking to me? Who's he looking at? Who's he looking at? And in that moment, it feels safe, it feels right to get defensive. Why aren't you talking to them? Why are you talking to me? What's the problem? What's the problem? We're backing up. That feels normal, but obviously you can't get better that way. Meeting new people socially or at work, it feels right to be closed off and not try to relate. It feels right to look at them as competition, right? Instead of be excited about a new potential relationship, all right? When you have lack of certainty or choice, doesn't it feel safe to be pessimistic about the future? If you don't know what's coming, plan for the worst. I'm just a planner, right? I'm just a planner. Confrontation, right? Confrontation with a colleague. How many have seen this? It feels right to try to win or try to be right? Win the game instead of keep the relationship as the top priority in that matter. We're getting a trend here. We need to learn to let go of what feels safe and what feels automatic so that we can live with wisdom. Sales calls, feels right to procrastinate that Eventually, you're going to get a rejection, right? That's not going to feel good. So it feels safe to push that off as far as we possibly can. The solution lies in what I think is probably the largest scientific breakthrough of our generation, maybe even bigger than that. I can't overstate this. It's neuroplasticity. Neuro means brain, plastic means changeable. That's simple. In the mid-90s, we realized the brain is not static. It actually changes. Simply put, attention changes your brain. You are all neuroplasticians based on what you think about each day. So there's so much going on in the brain, but so much of it you're in control of, all right? So we all know that you can think about something, right? You can sit and contemplate an idea. But when you realize you can think about yourself contemplating it, that's where the magic happens. You can think about what you think about, and that's what steers the ship. That's what steers the ship. See, some of you followed me. 3 of you followed me right there, and that's perfect. That's what we're looking for. Honestly, if you think about what you think about, you start to build frameworks in your head that interpret the situation. That's literally what leads you to feel the way you feel, okay? And so here's the thing. This is all happening in your subconscious, and it's extremely powerful. Let me show you how powerful it is. This is my lovely wife and I on a cruise. And you forget how big these ships are until you go stand next to one again, right? I want you to picture this boat going full blast this direction as fast as it can. And then all of a sudden in the moment, I want to go the other direction. So I get off this little door and I start paddling with a little paddle. And I'm like, I want to go this way. That's what it's like when your conscious mind tries to go against your subconscious mind in the moment. It doesn't have a chance. But some of you guys still look skeptical. You're numbers people, I can tell. That's fine. Processing power of your conscious mind is 2,000 neurons per second. The processing power of your subconscious mind is 4 billion. You thought my ratio was off, didn't you? 4 billion neurons a second. So I want you to think about this. Navy SEALs, some of the toughest people we know, all right? They go through the most grueling mental and physical challenges of maybe anybody anywhere. And what's interesting, after 9/11, we needed more Navy SEALs because they weren't graduating through BUD/S training fast enough. And so they went to investigate what is making the difference. Because even after they got past the rigorous physical challenges, and they're physical enough, right? They're athletic enough, still only 1 in 7 would make it through the 6-month grueling training. So 6 out of 7 of these physical specimens couldn't get it done. So they started to research it, and guess what they found? One of the major differences of the Navy SEALs that made it was constant, optimistic self-talk throughout the entire BUD/S training. Can it really be that simple? The hardest thing you'll ever endure in your life, and the difference was they were constantly wiring their mind and wiring their frameworks. I'm supposed to be here. I'm a champion. I'm not going to get broken by this. This has been done before, and I'm going to be the next to do it. There is no other option. The winners were doing that the whole time. Imagine if it were that simple. Now, if that works for Navy SEALs doing the hardest thing you can undertake, do you think it would help you in what you're endeavoring to do? Imagine that. Today, you can reprogram your mind to go towards the roar. You can stop the automatic response and make the mistake. You can actually go the right direction. Now, I wanted to show you this just really quickly so you'd realize this is what a neuron looks like. When you think, catch this, you're actually growing something in your head. You're actually growing matter, all right? Protein is being synthesized into this neuron when you give something attention. And then if you keep thinking, it gets thicker, and it gets wrapped in a myelin sheath, and it goes way faster. Do you see the little thing going down here slowly? You guys see that? Do you see it going really quickly right there? This is a habit. That's what a habit looks like in your brain. And when you keep thinking about something, it gets faster and faster and faster. It literally goes 200 times faster. Now, here's the good news and bad news. This habit can be fear or gratitude. It doesn't matter. Your subconscious mind doesn't matter which one you create. You can be thinking anxious, pessimistic, negative, grateful, optimistic, or persevering. Just like the Navy SEALs that made it. They were growing the right thoughts in their mind. They were building the right frameworks. So when I realized how powerful this was, but also how simple, I started to journal this way. So instead of making life goals, I started making thought goals. I started making goals around the thoughts that I wanted in my operating system in my brain. And this made such a shift that people around me wanted to do the same thing. So I actually created the Thought Goal Journal. So there was just a simple way that you could daily wire in the operating system that you wanted. Okay, but the bottom line is it takes 7 minutes a day for about 2 months to grow that full habit that I just showed you, to fully turn the ship in the direction that you want. Now, you know, how many people think mindset's important? See, everybody understands mindset's important. But you know what most people won't do is take the time to set their mind. If your mindset's important, you've got to be intentional about it. So make the decision today to wire your brain to let go of what feels automatic, what feels safe, and start living with wisdom. Start living your adventure. Thank you very much.
For you is this, okay? I want to know, what is your current thought goal, and then is there a simple one that you could recommend to us to just start immediately?
Okay, great question. I think my favorite thought goal that I'm currently wiring on a daily basis is that I'm extremely excited to get out of bed in the morning and jump into the process of my career. And so I want my mind to realize that so that it's natural, that I don't have to fight uphill. And so I wire that, I visualize that, I even write what's going to happen when that becomes automatic. So yeah, I think that makes a huge difference.
All right, well, thank you, John. At this time, I'm going to ask that all of our speakers come out and join us here on the stage, as well as Steve. Come on out, everybody. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I'm going to slide in here.
Fantastic MC tonight. And of course, our backstage manager, she did an awesome job. And the band, woo! And of course, there's Alan in the audio booth. He's the one that made sure all the sound worked. Yeah. And John and his crew did the videotapes, and you'll be able to see those in 3 weeks on our YouTube channel. So thank you, guys. Thank you for that. So you heard of a lot of different things tonight. So from your head to your heart, there are so many ways to let go, and I'm sure you can. I mean, there's many things I've let go of in my life, and it's only made me a better person. So you guys can do that too. And speaking of that, our next event, which you may have seen the slide, is the topic of unconditional love, which is a really deep subject, and I have tried throughout my life to embody that, and I'm sure these people and you guys know what I'm talking about. And if you're interested in auditioning, auditions are August 12th and 13th. You can email me, walkthetalkseries@gmail.com, and you can get an audition spot. And then the date is September 18th. And it'll be back in this beautiful theater, which is a really awesome theater. It's got lots of great energy. Okay, so let me check around. So, and also a big thanks to some of our sponsors, Still Point Chiropractic and Indy Holistic Hub. Couldn't do it without you guys, so thank you so much. And if you are... And if you're interested in being a sponsor, walkthetalkseries@gmail.com. If you feel that our mission is your mission and you want to help us create an epic shift, then please let us know. Lastly, you see right above your head, there's 150 balloons. Now, there's 250 people in here, so you guys might have to share a balloon. But so inside each balloon is a motivational phrase, and you can pop it, like a fortune cookie. You pop it right away and read the phrase, or you can take it with you. And people have done both. And the people that are in the middle just, kick the balloons back and forward and everything. So you guys ready for that? Yes. You ready, band? Okay. 3, 2, 1, go! Woo!
Not bad, man. That was phenomenal, dude. Wow. That was so awesome.
Means a lot, you guys.
That was so good.
Come right down in the front.
Okay. Hey, good job, man. That was that. Yeah, I think so. I think I know your favorite. Thank you very much.